Hello, I'm Ernestine Mead. Welcome to Writer's Reading. I'm really excited today because, as you can see, we're at WPRG Intermountain Cable's beautiful studio, and the reason for that is we're having the winners of our poetry contest on today. I'm always excited to do this show because I get to see a lot of other writers, young and old alike, and I always enjoy that, and it gives them an opportunity to be on the show. So, without further ado, we will start to introduce our writers, and I'm sorry to say the first one is not here, but before I do that, let me tell what the categories were. We had 4 categories this year: 4th through 6th grade, 7th through 9th, 10th through 12th, and in this year we had a special category that we'd never had before, and that's the adult category. So the first winner is the second runner, the first runner-up, second place, 4th through 6th grade, and this young man could not be here today, so Dr. Don is going to read for him. But his name is Corey Miller. He's 10 years old, and he goes to Mullen School. He's in 4th grade. So, Dr. Don, if you would, you'd come up and read his poem for us.
Thank you, Ernestine. And let me say that the Writers Reading Program, which has been on now several years on WPRG, on Intermountain Cable, that's we think it's a program that adds very much to the programming and enriches the programming here at WPRG, because we get to hear a lot of the poetry done by our mountain poets, and today we're going to be hearing some of the poetry from some of these young people in our schools. And this first poem that's a winner, you said, is from a boy who attends the Mullins Elementary School at Mullins. Mm-hmm. And the title of his poem, he titles it "What I Like." And here is the poem. I like gorillas, I like ants, but I'm not too crazy about trying to dance. I like weasels and I like bees, but I'm not too fond about black-eyed peas. There's lots of things I really do like, but what do I know? I'm just a growing tight. And again, his name, Ernestine?
Corey Miller.
And he's at Mullins grade school in the 4th grade. Corey.
Right. And if you're watching, Corey, we enjoyed your poem, and we're glad you sent it in.
Well, congratulations to you, Corey.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks a lot for reading that for us, and I'll call the next one now.
Okay.
Our first winner in the 4th through 6th category was a young lady. And I think it's interesting that Corey wrote about what he liked, and so did this next young lady. Her name is Amanda Yoder. Amanda, you want to come out? Hi.
Hi.
How are you today?
Fine.
You've got a beautiful dress on.
Thank you.
You want to tell us a little bit about yourself? Well, how old are you?
9.
9 years old. And what grade?
4th grade.
Okay, and where do you go to school?
I homeschool.
You homeschool? Does your homeschool have a name?
Mm-hmm. Corn Fork Christian Academy.
Corn Fork Christian Academy? Where did you get the name Corn Fork?
That's the road we live on.
Oh, that's nice. And who are your parents, Amanda?
John and Lucy Yoder.
Okay. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your poem? I don't see a title here. Do you have a title for it?
Oh, yeah, I have it on here.
Oh, you want to read it from that? Okay, you want to just go ahead and read it then?
The things that I like the bees and birds that sing. I like the flowers in the spring. I like the butterflies that fly up in the beautiful blue sky. I like cats that meow and dogs that bark. I like to watch lightning bugs when it gets dark. All these things I like to see, from the largest dog to the smallest bee.
That's pretty.
Thank you.
Do you really like those things, or were you just trying to think of something to write?
Yeah, I really like
You
them.
really like them? That's good. Well, thank you for being on the show today.
All right. Come on.
Okay, that takes care of our 4th through 6th grade category, and now next is 7th through 9th. The second place winner is Melissa Prater. Hi, Melissa.
Hello.
You want to talk a little bit about yourself today?
Yes, I'm a freshman. I attend Phelps High School. My parents are Frankie and Anita Prater. And the title of my poem is The Gift That Money Can't Buy.
How old are you?
I'm 15.
What's your favorite subject in school?
Favorite subject? Probably French.
French? Mm-hmm. Can you say something in French?
Bonsoir, comment allez-vous, monsieur?
Oh, that's nice. What is that? What is your name? Or how are you?
How are you doing?
How are you? I took a little bit of French in college, but I've forgotten it all. That's nice. I love learning different languages. I took Latin and French and Spanish in, high school and college. Do you plan to go to college when you get out of high school?
Yes, I plan to go to college, UK.
Oh, what are you going to study?
Probably medical field. Probably study.
Oh, that's
become
good.
a doctor.
We always need more doctors around here, for sure. Okay, you want to read your poem, Melissa?
The gift that money can't buy. I must do something for someone today, round up my love and give it away. Telephone a friend just over the hill who's a whole lot lonely and a little bit ill. Write on my heart several things to be done. 'Twill be such a pleasure, not to mention the fun. Remember a friend, if I can't be there, just open my heart and send a prayer. The day moves on and I'm getting in high to give away that love which money can't buy.
I like that. I like the thought that's expressed in that poem. You sound like you're a person who likes to do things for other people, and that's good.
Yes. I like to write poetry about love.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Do you write a lot of poetry?
In my spare time, yes, that's what I like doing.
Are you keeping it all?
I have a photo that I keep them in.
Well, that's good. I have a daughter who's 8, and she writes poems, and she makes me write it in a book for her, so she's keeping all her poetry. I think that's important.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Melissa, for being on. Next, in our 7th through 9th grade category, is our first place winner, Karen S. Billiter.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine.
Where do you go to school?
I go to Phelps Junior High. I go to the same school as Melissa.
Oh.
And I'm 14. I just turned 14. My parents are Jim and Karen Billiter, so
Okay. Do you write a lot of poetry?
I mainly did this one for my portfolio, but in my spare time I do.
Okay. I loved this poem. It was, I knew exactly where it came from. You want to read it to us?
Okay, the title is A January Teenager. I sit here watching the snow blow, looking at reruns of a TV show. I'm tired in so many ways, after 20 or more snow days. I can't wait to see my special friend. Seems this bad weather will never end. It really doesn't take a wizard to know we've had a real true blizzard. We've had hot cocoa, cider, and tea, but actually nothing pleases me. I can't stand the phone anymore, afraid I'm becoming a total bore. I thought playing cards would do the trick, but actually now that makes me sick. I've played entirely too much solitaire. Oh no, the television just left the air. Please come back, oh routine days. I can't stand this kind of haze. I enjoy being in school. I don't want to grow up a fool. I just don't know how I will live. Something really has to give. It's been a month of snow days, no school, 1 hour, and 2-hour delays. How much longer can it last? Please, spring, please do hurry fast. I can hardly stand to wait, but this weather I really hate. I play the piano and my sax. I'm tired of just trying to relax. For complaining, I feel like a jerk. At least there is no homework.
How many inches did you get?
We got several. I think almost 2 foot.
Yeah.
Oh, it was a bore.
I kind of enjoyed it. I don't want to see any more of it this year, but it was kind of nice. I don't think I had ever seen that much snow on the ground at one time.
My dog, it covered her up, and she's a Cocker Spaniel, and she had so much fun in it.
I tried to fall back in it, and I fell back in it, and then couldn't get up. But it was kind of nice. Well, thank you, Karen, for being on the show and
Okay,
reading your poem
thank
to
you.
us. You're welcome. Okay, now we're in 10th through 12th grade. We're moving along. Our second place winner couldn't show up today, so again, we're going to have to call on Dr. Dawn. This is from Rachel Reed. And she's, well, you can read on the back and tell us about her.
I bet it's a love poem.
Yeah,
Huh?
it sure is.
Betsy Lane, senior. Bob Gett at Betsy Lane High School. She's 17 years old. And Rachel Reed lives in Stanville, Kentucky. And her poem is entitled Still Waiting for Your Love. So I love a poem. And this is what Rachel writes. I once heard you say just how much you cared. Now you say nothing, you only act scared. I realize that I hurt you, this I regret sadly. I wish I could change things because I miss you madly. I won't stop trying, believe me. It just wouldn't feel right. It hurts me to see you every day, not being able to hold you at night. I miss your sweet voice and lips. I long to feel your touch. I wish once more that you would say to me, Rachel, I love you so much. If only you could look inside and see the pain I feel, you'd come back to me in a heartbeat if the love you proclaimed is real. I once heard a wise man say, true love never dies. I wish I could still see your love for me when I look into your eyes. You and I were meant to be. We were matched in heaven above. But for now, I'm here alone, still waiting for your love.
You did a good job. Of course, I think it would have sounded better coming out of Rachel, but...
I'm just the standby point laureate here. But in her poem, she's feeling pain. She remembers the joy that she had with the love that she had found. She had found a love. She cherished that love. And now love has gone astray, and she wants her true love back.
Right. I saw she had this in the newspaper not too long ago. I saw it.
Yeah.
Yeah, she did a good job. I wish she could have been here to read it, but I'm glad you were able to do it.
Still waiting for your love. And again, that's by Rachel Reed, senior at Betsy Lane High School, and she's from Stanville, Kentucky.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now we're on the first place winner, 10th through 12th grade, and that is Ann Hall. Hi, Ann.
Hi.
How are you?
It's fun.
You want to tell us something about you?
I'm 15 years old. I attend the Pierce School in Martin. I enjoy basketball, lots of sports, and my parents are Kaner and Gwendolyn Hall.
Are you a freshman?
Sophomore.
Sophomore? Do you like that school?
Not really.
No. Maybe I shouldn't have asked. Well, what subjects do you like?
Really don't. Probably English.
English?
Yeah.
That was always my favorite. Where did you go to school before you started going there?
I went to Adams Middle School for a while, and before that I attended the Our Lady of the Mountains in Paintsville.
Oh, okay. Well, you want to read your poem for us?
As I go walking in the moonlit park, underneath the glistening stars in the sky, I feel myself comforted by the dark. Now I'm really free to laugh or cry. I sit in a swing like a child of 3 and swing myself as high as I can swing. I breathe deep, smile, and shout out, look at me. My tear-streaked face, the chilly wind does sting. To escape reality, I come here, to behold an old childhood memory. Whether it be to shed a brackish tear, or to swing once again and be set free. I leave my childhood memories sadly, knowing I'll be back tomorrow gladly.
That's pretty. Do you have a special place you go to think?
Yeah, I like to just take a walk and think things out.
Yeah. It's always good to take time out, I think. Well, thank you, Ann, for coming and reading it for us. And now we get to our adults. And our second place winner, Glenn Young. Come on down. Now we got to start pulling out glasses, don't we?
I'm old enough.
How are you?
Fine.
Well, tell us something about you.
Well, I grew up in North Alabama. I've lived in this area for a little over a year, enjoying the mountains. I tell my friends that there's only 3 ways to go up here. That's up, down, or around. I'm a minister or preacher, local evangelist, whatever terminology you might use, for the Road Creek Church of Christ, enjoying the work, enjoying the people.
You're the one we hear on Bible Talk every Sunday morning.
I have to plead guilty.
Well, I enjoy that program.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Do you have a family?
Yes, I have a wife and 2 sons. My wife, Nyla, we've been married be 29 years this year, I remember. And I have a son that's 22, David, and a son that's 19, Bradley.
Okay, does Nyla work?
She is an aide for a young girl at Pikeville High School, a young girl who is cerebral palsy, Lydia Hackney. Very sweet young lady.
Oh, okay. Well, Glenn, you want to read your poem? You have it there?
Yes. I had a friend that I let read this poem the other day, and he said, I don't get it.
Well, maybe you can explain it.
So, to give a little bit of a background, I was taking a creative writing class in college, and we were required to do a sonnet. So, mine is a sonnet, and the professor required that we do a sonnet on American folklore. So I chose the legend of Sleepy Hollow. We should all be familiar, I guess. I'm not going to tell anybody anything they don't know about the legend of Sleepy Hollow, but the main character is Ichabod Crane. Ichabod is a school teacher, and Ichabod goes into the village and to teach, and he kind of gets an eye for a young maid there, but she's already got a boyfriend, her beau. And the legend of Sleepy Hollow is that there's a headless horseman that comes out so ever so often and stirs up things. Well, the question is, what happened to Ichabod? Was it really the headless horseman, or did the beau decide that Ichabod had to go? And so this is what we dealt with when we wrote this sonnet, and it's entitled A Sonnet to the People of Sleepy Hollow. Poor Ichabod, doth thy love requite the fair maid thy love would show? Will ghostly hauntings put thee to flight at request of the fair maid's bow? The legend is whispered through the village of one who rides upon nocturnal wings. Without head he comes to plunder and pillage, astride the mount whose hoof sings with the song of hell's fiery minion. Was it cowardice vanquished thee, or horseman? The village stirs at each man's opinion, and the ruffian admires the plan. Without help of teacher, children are shallow, so beware, ye brave men of Sleepy Hollow.
I like it. I do.
Well, you know, teachers are a very important part of the life of children. And sadly to say, in past history of our society, teachers have not always had the respect that they deserved. And sometimes they were treated not too kindly, as I think poor Ichabod was treated rather rudely in this legend. And so I thought it would be nice if people understood how important teachers are to the lives of children. Good teachers, teachers who care and teachers who want to teach children.
Right, I think we have a lot of good teachers in that area. Well, thanks, Glenn.
Thank you.
For coming and reading.
Appreciate it.
And now to our first place winner in the adult category, Bill Loftus. Hello.
Hello.
How are you today?
Fine.
Well, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I teach at the community college, just speaking of teachers, teach psychology, leadership, death and dying. Really come to the contest today trying to support my son and his endeavors. He was not lucky enough to be one of the winners, but I was. So we'll share our prize.
Oh, okay. You can buy him something with your money. Oh, well, you're going to have to explain this one for sure.
Okay. It's called the Aboriginal Civil War. Mortality crushes us like candles loosed in the night. Angels and Corinthians nourished with souls and bread. Sacrificial lambs to the evening fields of play and dreams. Wanderings from within the deserts of time, the anger and sadness wrapped in leaves of green, the turnings, the transitions, the battles lost and won. Fields of lambs and soldiers, uneven skeletons, paraded in dress rehearsal of ceremony and purpose. The wars take all, the yellow lights, and vanishing into the darkness, the quiet, the familiar, and trusted. The feeling of being alone and still, the quiet. The angels and the Corinthians, letters never written, in the beginning and in the end. Pages turning and cloth upon a breeze, the weight of ashes, the quiet, the eternal. A garment cast about the body of a friend. Warm prayer on a cold, wet evening in the war, that ancient war. A truce, a moment between the angels and the Corinthians.
Okay.
You mean, what does it mean?
Yeah.
In psychology, it can mean almost anything. When we spoke on the phone, somebody had the idea that it was an image between light and dark, good and evil. Some young person was just telling me about a new movie called The Prophecy, where there's another battle between the angels. And I think it's really a poem about the things that we do as humans, the things that we try to aspire to the world of the angels. And if anybody knows anything about history, the Corinthians were a quite happy people, happy perhaps a little more than St. Paul, who used to write them letters, perhaps should have been. And I think what it is the poem is a metaphor for the constant interplay. Just when you think you are, you aren't, and when you aren't, you perhaps are more than you think. So it's a poem about struggle. It's a poem about getting old and becoming aware of that.
Well, I enjoyed it. And thank you for coming and reading it to us, and congratulations.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, now, before we give these people their prizes, which I'm sure is one of the things that they came here for, I'd like to introduce someone who helped to make this possible, who helped to get the money for the prizes. Walmart Pharmacies from Paintsville, Prestonsburg, and Pikeville gave us the money, and here today we have Reed Volk, who is the pharmacist from Pikeville, the Pikeville Walmart pharmacist. Hello.
Hello.
I got all that out.
Thank you.
Now you talk.
Okay. No, we became involved in this contest last year when my son entered and he won, and I think it's important that you continue these type of contests because I think expressing yourself in writing is one of the things that's important in this world today, and too many things are based on television, movies, and everything else, and you still have to put your ideas down on paper. And that's why we decided to sponsor this, and we're happy to sponsor it for you.
Well, I was really pleased. Reed came to me. I did not go looking for a sponsor. He came to me up at the track at Pikeville one day and asked me if I needed a sponsor for this, so I was really appreciative of that.
Well, you've got a lot of good young contestants, and you did last year, and I think this is a very worthwhile program, and I'm glad to see you got some adults involved in it, because you've got a lot of talent in this area,
I think so, too.
and it needs to be brought out, and I thank you for the opportunity to sponsor this.
Well, thank you. And now, the part that we're all waiting for. Dr. Don is going to give out the prizes, and I thought I would give everybody a copy of my newest poetry book.
Hold it up there.
Oh, okay.
Do a close-up shot on it.
This is called Up Hurricane Road. And of course, my first one was down Mare Creek Road. Mare Creek's where I was born, and Hurricane Creek is where I live now. So I'll just...
Hurricane Creek, of course, we're talking about the Hurricane Creek right near Harold,
Right.
Kentucky, aren't we?
At Bowman.
If you cross the Bowman Bridge at the Pike-Floyd County line, that is Hurricane Creek, runs up to the top of Cedar Gap where Island Creek, I guess, begins there.
Right. We live on Benny Mead Road, just on Hurricane Creek, about half a mile up there.
Would you all like to hear Ernestine read one of her poems out of her book here? Huh? All right, since the book is going to be the prize, Ernestine, read us one of your poems.
Okay.
How many poems, by the way, are in your book?
There are about 40-some poems, I guess, in this book.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I don't know.
Are you going to pick your personal favorite or the one you think the public and the poets who are with us today would most enjoy hearing?
Probably one that they would like to hear, and you put me on the spot here, so it's hard to just pick one out. I don't know.
How many of your poems do you remember from memory? Do you have to read them, or can you remember them?
I can remember some of them, but A lot of them I can't remember. If they're longer, I can't remember. Well, here's one called Lover of My Soul. And this might not sound like it, but this is actually talking about Jesus, of course, because it says Lover of My Soul. Lover of my soul, keep me ever near you. The dark clouds hang low, and your rival stalks nearby. If I could love as you, he would find no dwelling place. But I am frail and fickle and faint-hearted, and he is fair to look upon. In the shadows I do not see that he will faithless be. Even now he whispers to me, Lover of my soul, come to me, and let me seek the sweet saving succor of the warm glow of your love, lest I fall into the fires of his desire.
All right.
I'll tell you what I'll do.
And that's called Up Hurricane Road, a collection of poetry, of
Right.
poems by
Ernestine Mead.
Ernestine Mead.
I got Printing by George to do these.
Okay.
I thought they did a real good job.
Printing by George in Pikeville, of course.
So do you want me to just let you have these and you can look
So
at the
what we're going to
names
do
and-
is we're going to present the collection of poems by Ernestine Mead to the folks, along with inside the cold hard cash, the mean, mean green. Okay, and you've got their names on each one of these, so I could just take these and go through them, I guess.
Right.
Okay. All right. Corey Miller from the 4th through the 6th grade division. This is our 4th grader from Mullins, who is not here today, and I'm the one who read his poem about things that I like. Right?
I'll just keep his.
Okay, so you can keep
And
his,
I'll
and then
mail it
return
to
that
him.
to him. And if we could have Amanda come up. And Ernestine, you want to stay with us, or?
Well, I'll just,
Okay, Amanda, just sit right over here just a moment, and I'll present you with this collection of poems that you'll be able to read and enjoy. How do you pronounce your last name?
Yoder.
Huh?
Yoder.
Yoder, Amanda Yoder, and you won first place in this division, 4th through the 6th grade. Again, what grade are you in?
4th grade.
4th grade, and you go to school at?
Cornfork Christian Academy.
Okay,
homeschool.
Corn Fork Christian Academy. Okay. And again, what was the title of your poem?
The things that I like.
The Things That I Like. And how long did it take you to write this poem?
I don't know, about an hour probably.
Do you like writing poetry? Enjoy doing that? This isn't the first poem you've written, though, I suppose, is it?
No.
What's the first poem that you've entered a poetry contest and won money with?
Well, yeah.
What do you plan on doing with this money?
I don't know.
Well, it's yours to spend on whatever your heart desires. Thank you, Amanda. Okay, that's Amanda Yoder. And she is our first place winner in that division. Melissa Prater, would you like to come up, Melissa? Melissa is our winner, second place winner in the 7th through the 9th grade division. And Melissa, I think you attend Phelps School?
Yes, that's right.
There in the Petery area. Well, you had a little drive over from Phelps to Harold here today, didn't you?
Yes, it was almost an hour drive.
Yeah. So, quite a ways over, and hope that you enjoyed coming over and reading your poem here.
I
Do you
enjoyed
think
it a lot.
when you go back to school that you'll have a lot of the kids at school that will see this on TV and say, hey, I enjoyed your poem?
Probably.
Yeah. How long have you been writing poetry?
On and off for about 2 years. I've got a big photo that I've kept a lot of them in.
Yeah. Do you plan on continuing to write poetry as you grow older
And I plan on entering more contests.
and entering more contests? Do you think that one of these days that you might have some of your poetry published, like Ernestine has had a book published here?
I hope.
Okay, well, good luck, okay?
Thank you.
All right, and I hope to someday be giving one of your books away in a poetry contest. Okay, thank you. And again, our prizes today, we are giving away checks, we are giving away money, and we are giving away a collection of poems by the local Pike County poet Ernestine Mead called Up Hurricane Road. Karen Billiter is our first place winner, 7th through the 9th grade, and you too also attend Phelps School, right?
Yes, I do.
And your poem was all about, what was your poem about?
A January teenager. I was bored.
With nothing to do while there was 24 inches of snow out on the ground.
A lot of snow.
And the snow was up over your Cocker Spaniel dog.
Oh, yes, she's a sweetie pie. Her name's Betsy, I have to mention. And she'll probably be watching this with me. And she was so cute. She would just come in and have snow all over her. Rose overhead. You couldn't even see her crawling through the snow.
So did you write this poem during the snow? I'm sure that you
Yes.
did, right?
I was bored.
So you said, I'm going to write a poem about this snow and enter it in Ernestine Mead's Writers Reading Poetry Contest, and maybe I'll just win.
Possibility.
Yeah,
And I
that's
did.
what you did. Yeah. Do you enjoy writing poetry?
I do very much. I enjoy writing more than anything. It's one of my favorite hobbies.
So if you enjoy writing more than anything, what are your favorite subjects in class?
English, but I also love algebra. I have Algebra 1 this year as an 8th grader, and it's hard, but I enjoy it.
So you're taking Algebra 1
Yes,
as
I'm
an
taking-
8th grader?
I'm taking French 1 too. The
French.
accelerated Algebra 1.
Did you just say something in French over here to Ernestine there a while ago?
It was Melissa. She
Melissa.
has French too.
So she did that too. Well, why don't you do a little French speaking here for us? Anything you want to say?
No, I better not say what I was thinking. But I guess I could say hi to all my friends, couldn't I?
Sure.
Hi, Thomas, that's his French name. Renee, Elizabeth, that's a French name too. So those are some of my friends. That's it.
Okay, so I guess that by the time you're a junior and senior in high school, you're certainly going to be taking those higher courses in mathematics, aren't you? Trigonometry, calculus, geometry, trigonometry, and those. What do you plan on doing? I know you're only in the 8th grade, and it might not be fair to go ahead and ask you if you have plans on what you're going to do when you get out of high school, but have you thought ahead to what you're going to do when you graduate?
I know I want to go to UK, but I'm not sure. I was kind of thinking of the medical field, but I don't know. I'm still thinking of being a teacher, but I'd like to write on the side.
Well, there's nothing that says that you can't be a teacher in the school system and also be a writer too. Yeah. Do you write any short stories or anything like that too?
Yes, I wrote a story last year as a 7th grader, how banking benefits my community. And I won the county and got 3 $100 savings bonds on that, and went on to win the region and the state. I won a whole computer system.
The whole state of Kentucky?
I won a computer system with a printer and everything.
And this young girl from Phelps, Kentucky, from the Peter Creek community of Pike County, Kentucky, shows them up in Louisville and shows them up in Lexington and shows them how it's done. Well, congratulations. We're very proud of you.
No, thank
And
you.
wish you the very, very best. And here's your check, and there's your book of poetry.
I know what I'm going to do with this.
And what's that?
Well, my performing arts group, we're going to perform at Disney World.
Yes.
We'll go and buy everything Oscar Canoe to take.
To take to Orlando, Florida. All right. Thank you. Enjoy yourself. You're a pleasure to talk to.
Thank
Okay. And again, she is from Phelps, Kentucky. Rachel Reed. She's not here. She is the one that I read the poem about. She's from Betsy Lane. I think she is a senior at Betsy Lane High School, and she is from Stanville, and she wins 2nd place in the high school division, grade 10 through grade 12. Our congratulations to Rachel Reed, and she is the one who wrote the poem about being in love and then having lost her love and missing her love and hoping that her love is going to come back to her. And if that's a real true story, Rachel, we certainly wish you the best and hope that you don't have to wait until next Valentine's Day for your Valentine to be with you. Okay, a first place winner is Ann Hall. Ann, would you come up, please? And she wins for 10th through the 12th grade. And I think that, Ann, you attend the Paris School? Pierist School. That is on the hill over at Martin, isn't it? Is that school associated with the Mountain Christian Academy over there?
No, they rent the building and that's it.
And they're just located right next together. What is special about the Pierist School? How does it differ from, say, Betsy Lane or Allen Central or one of those schools?
Well, it's a lot smaller, and it's run by the Pierce fathers. I don't know. It's a private school.
It's a private school. And
yeah, I think the courses are probably a lot more challenging.
Is it? Have you been to the public schools as well as a private school? Or?
Yeah. I used to go to Adams Middle School.
That's right. I remember when you were talking to Ernestine there that you went to Adams Middle School and now you're attending the Pierce School up there. just a way of you putting on how you feel, but when you read other people's poetry, you see how they feel, and apparently when we heard your poem, we could get an understanding of you and how you were feeling at the time that you wrote that poem. What are your favorite subjects in school there at the Pierce School?
I don't know. I guess English, probably.
English.
I enjoy writing a lot, but I really don't like too many subjects.
Make good grades, though, whether you like them or not? Do you make good grades?
Decent.
Decent, okay. Well, okay. And what do you plan on doing when you get out of school? Have you thought about that yet?
Yeah, I have a lot of different things, but I'm a lot interested in being a dietitian or a dermatologist.
A dermatologist, all right. Well, okay. Well, we congratulate you, and here's your poetry and also your check. Do you have any idea what you're going to spend your money on?
Not really.
Well, you've got it's there. You can save it, you can put it in the bank, or you can put it in your pocketbook and wait until you see something that you like to buy, right? Okay, thank you, and congratulations again. Okay, here we have in the adult division, we have our second place winner. And this gentleman is the minister at the Road Creek, I think, the Road Creek Church of Christ?
Yes.
And that's up in the area between Regina and Elkhorn City?
Elkhorn City, yes.
Okay, and she doesn't have your name on here, and again, your name?
What is my name? Glenn Young. Yes.
Glenn Young, Reverend.
No, I
No,
don't
Reverend?
use the title.
Okay, it's either pastor or a minister or preacher.
Well, I'm just a preacher.
And again, a relatively newcomer to the area, right?
Yes, I've just been here a little over a year.
And again, tell us again, what do you think of it? Where did you come from originally before you came to this area?
Well, I grew up in Alabama. I just happened to be working with a church in Alabama before I came here, but I have worked with churches in Ohio and Virginia and around, preached in most of the states along the eastern part of this country.
And I've been about a year there at the Road Creek Church of Christ.
This past February was a year.
I think Ernestine, when she was talking to you earlier and you were reading your poem, said that you had a radio show?
Yes, we're on DHR.
Yeah, go ahead, give the call.
Okay.
That's fine, that's fine. We don't mind.
WDHR, we're on Sunday mornings at 9 o'clock. 9 to 9:30, we have a program called Bible Talk. And myself and a couple other fellows, we answer questions. People call in, ask Bible questions, or want to talk about any particular subject. We try to discuss with them about things.
Glenn, what do you think in this area? Of course, you said you came from Alabama, and now you're living here in eastern Kentucky. Had you been in eastern Kentucky before you became the preacher of the church?
No, this is my first experience in this particular part of the country.
What were your preconceived ideas about eastern Kentucky and the mountain people, the hill people of eastern Kentucky before you came here?
Well,
and what has been the difference between the actual reality of the area in which you moved in and your preconceived ideas before you came into this area?
Well, I'm sure that most anyone who doesn't live here has the ideas of what they see on TV. And you're talking about economically depressed, that type of thing. But when you get here, you find that they're good people. And, I've really enjoyed the experience and being around the people. I grew up in a rural setting myself in North Alabama. And as one friend says, well, you're just an old holler boy anyway. So it's been an experience. The mountains are overwhelming. I've never had this. I grew up on Sand Mountain, but the mountain I grew up on was flat on the top. So there was nothing like this around here. But I find this area, I find it a very pleasant place to live. I've enjoyed it. Of course, it's like most places. It could use some industry to come in here and help things along. And I'd like to, if any politicians are listening out there, I'd like to see them get to work on that.
In working with the church, do you find that the mountain people have very close family ties?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I think the word is clannish. But I grew up in an area that had somewhat the same kind of situation. I grew up among clannish people. And sometimes it takes an outsider a little while to get adapted. But I think that we kind of fit in. Of course, you can ask Ernestine about that, I guess. But it seems like that the people here are very, very similar to what I grew up around, the kind of people I grew up with.
Glenn, in the modern day world in 1996, how important is the close-knit of a family to the spiritual growth of oneself?
It's very important. As a matter of fact, I think that's the reason we have the problems we have today, whether it be the problem of drugs, education, schools, the problem of children killing children. The problems in the home originate from broken homes and all the associated problems that come from that. And so I'm very much in tune and try to do as much work as possible to try to encourage family values. And I know that's a phrase that's being used a lot today. And I kind of hesitate because politicians are using it, and we know what kind of reputation that puts on things. But we do need family values. We need a strong family environment, a strong family home. And of course, my approach is a scriptural approach. I try to teach from the Bible what it teaches concerning responsibilities in the home, parents, husband to wife, wife to husband, children to parents, parents to children, what the Bible says about that.
When you were talking with Ernestine earlier and you were reading your poem there, you mentioned something about teachers. Were you ever a school teacher before becoming
No, I don't have a teacher certificate. But in the state of Alabama, you can substitute teach without a teacher certificate, so I have done substitute teaching. But I admire people who have enough love for someone else that they want to try to help them to do better, to improve themselves. And I think that's what teaching is all about.
And of course, Christ Jesus was the greatest teacher of them all.
Absolutely. He was the master teacher.
What do you think in the modern day classrooms do we need to do that we're not doing?
My goal, my advice, for what it's worth, would be to put discipline back in the classroom. Now, if you talk to teachers, they would say parents are at fault. If you talk to parents, they say teachers are at fault. Somebody's got to get together here and say, look, we're going to have a classroom where that it's not going to be disrupted by 2 or 3 people. And I think it's a matter of discipline. I think it's a matter of having an environment where the children can come, feel safe, and that children can learn in an environment. And I think sometimes it's difficult to do that. It's difficult to have that kind of an environment. And I would say discipline. I would say the discipline within the classroom.
Okay. Well, we certainly thank you for your thoughts and for your insight here. And you also have some money here that you can take and spend, and winning in the adult division, and also a book of poems here by Ernestine Meade called Up Hurricane Road. And
Thank you.
Are you going to continue to write poetry?
Oh, yes. I try to write as much as I can.
Well,
articles, poems. So.
Well,
is there enough here to buy a car?
Ernestine is there enough in there to do that.
So I guess I can take my wife to lunch.
Yeah, you can take your wife out to lunch. Perhaps Ernestine maybe invite you to be one of her guests on the Writers Reading Program in the future coming up.
Thank you.
Thank you, Glenn.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Bye-bye. And now we call up our winner in the adult division, winning first place, Bill Loftus from the Prestonsburg Community College in Prestonsburg, Kentucky. And Bill, it's a pleasure to have you on Writers Reading, and we certainly congratulate you for winning first place in the adult division here.
I never thought I'd win. I really, as I said before, we talked a lot about teaching, we talked a lot about support already. My son saw the ad in the paper, and he said, well, maybe I will, maybe I won't. And I said, it's sort of a challenge. If you do, I'll dig something out. And I know there are a lot of writers around here. James Still, I was at one of his readings recently, and the mountains have their whole genre. I don't think my poems belong to that, but that's okay. It's nice to know that someone enjoys something different, too.
James Still, Kentucky Poet Laureate this year, I think. Did you see his performance at Pikeville College as part of the Pikeville Concert Association's program earlier this year? I'm talking about like back in December.
No, I didn't see it if it was live. I saw something on tape. I think it was through KET. And I had seen him live. It was about 2 years ago. And they had a fiddle player. It was a Kentucky evening. And he read the mountains and the rolling, and there was fiddle and there were dances, and it was really just, I've only been here 6 years, and I'm still learning Hurricane Creek and things like that, you know. And when I have 911, I'll be able to find some of these places. But, you know, It's a lovely place. You asked the question before, what is nice about Eastern Kentucky? Ever since I've been here, unlike the Corinthians, there is the kindness of strangers, and it still exists here, and that's why I'm still here.
The kindness of stranger and that mountain hospitality that we're known for worldwide.
Yes.
Absolutely. James Steele, I think, is he's from our neighboring Knott County,
Right.
Kentucky, down around Hyman. I videotaped his reading of his poetry at the Papa Concert Association in December, and I think that when we show this back on Sunday evening next weekend, that I'll probably show his performance immediately after this. I think that his show, the reading of his poetry, would go extremely well with our program that we have had here today.
Encourage more for next year.
And encourage more for next year. And I think we didn't have an adult division last year, to be Ernestine. This is the first time that we've had an adult division, so, you came in first, and Glenn back here came in second, so we're very pleased to add this adult division here. Again, you are a professor at Prestonsburg Community College. What do you teach there again?
Psychology? No, you talk next. It's like I just tell you, and then you go.
Okay. Now,
I don't do clinical work. I used to do that, and there were too many people who liked wheels being broken. Mental health is its whole own little world. That's actually where I started writing poetry. It was my sort of therapy, my counsel. And
so you said poetry is a therapy. It's like the girl from Phelps here just said. It's a way of letting your emotions out.
Right. The person who you read the poem about the love lost and all the things that want, and it seemed that was a poem where I think she wrote the poem to say goodbye. It's we all go to graveyards after the burial and after the ceremonies, and I think that the dead are still there waiting for that conversation to finish. And I think that's what poems are, is a conversation. It doesn't come out here, it comes out through the hand, and I think that that's a higher level of processing the internal and external reflections and relationships in general.
Can it be a healing process? Can poetry be an emotional healing process?
Sure. I think even I teach death and dying, and tomorrow night's class is all about suicide. And it's given somewhere between 50 and 70% leave suicide notes. And we often refer to them as a suicide note, but very often it's a suicide poem. It may not be understood as a poem because of the consequence and the context in which it appears, but I think it's an attempt at saying something. I've worked with enough adolescents and teenagers in my life, and I was talking with somebody in the hallway just before. Most of us let the teens have that distance, and really I think what they need is the closeness and the ability to talk. That's why I think a lot of teens write poems. It's their one way out. And I think privately they would probably like mom or dad to discover some of those, though mom and dad may not understand them, and that's okay. It's okay.
I think there's a poet in all of us, isn't there?
Right.
There's a poet in all of us.
Or if we can't write, we could sing it. Yeah. We can be a songwriter.
We can be a country and western songwriter, can't we?
Right.
And like you said, not all. There are sad songs. There are happy songs. There are also poems that are sad, and there are poems that are happy.
And I think sometimes in writing, at least what I found over the years, is that someone will ask me, well, what does that mean? And I say, I really don't know. It's what came out. It was that time and that place, and that was the vehicle. And I think we need to do that more. I think it's easy to turn on the TV. It's easy to have things deflect our attention from ourselves or from the situations that we're in.
Well, when you're writing poetry, you're actively doing something. When you're watching television, you're passively absorbing it.
Yeah.
There's a difference between acting and really doing something, and then watching it and have it passively just absorbing it. Bill, what did you think about these as a professor? What did you think about these young people's poems here that they read earlier?
I just think it's wonderful. It's like the person in the back who profited the money forward for this. I think that's important. If it's a prize that you're doing it for, or whether it's therapy that it's coming, or just to be able to, a lot was said about English, and the creative writing, that's a whole part of the full personality, And I think it takes time to write it down. I like the little 3x5 card. Ernestine was going to pass, but it's like, it's my poem on my card, and I'm going to handle it. I have mine in mine here too, but I was happy that she had that. It becomes something that is you now, and those poems will go into books, and I'm sure that, the check is nice, but the poem will go in the book, and it will probably have like a little star or a little notation that this wasn't just a poem, it was a big one. It was a big one.
Exactly.
I remember when I was that age, I used to write, and nobody gave us money then. You know, you got your poem in a book, and then you had to buy the book for $1, you know. But, geez, I'm published, you know, and that was so important to say to somebody, not sometimes say to your baseball buds, you know, I'm a published poet, you know, they just whoop you on the head. But, you know, to your English teacher say, you know, all those P's and Q's and all the haves and halves, you know, I got it right, you see, right there.
Yeah.
And I think also poetry allows you to, it's unlike the short story or the fairy tale, you know, it's not periods and commas, it's just, as I said before, it's just the letting go, letting it go, dust on the wind.
Expressing your emotions and your feelings at the particular time that you put pen to paper.
Exactly.
Bill, there's your check, and there's another book of other poetry by someone else, by poet Ernestine Mead, that you can take and read.
I can analyze her, huh?
And if Ernestine decides, yes, as a psychologist, you can analyze her. At some point in the future, perhaps Ernestine might even consider having published in Printing by George a book of poetry of the winners of her TV Writers Reading Program.
What a wonderful
And if she does, then your name will appear in there right alongside these other folks today.
Okay,
Thank you, Bill. Bill. Ernestine, would you like to come back in, and you and I would we'll close out the show here together.
I've enjoyed listening to you talk to all these people.
Yeah.
It's fun just standing over there and watching.
Yeah.
You know, you mentioned James Steele.
Yes.
I can't remember who it was. It was either Dr. Wiss or Dr. Fox. Both of them were always giving me something. But one of them gave me a laminated copy, an autographed copy of one of James Steele's poems. And I have it at the house, and I'm very proud of that.
Yes. Well, he is the Kentucky Poet Laureate, and like I said, he performed back in December at not Prestonsburg, but at Pikeville College at the new Booth Auditorium, what used to be Faith Chapel. He came in there, and he read his poetry for an hour, and I forget the musician that was with him, but he had a musician from Knott County, Kentucky, who played the mandolin, who played the fiddle, who played the violin, and performed and played live music while he was doing the reading of his mountain poems. And then after that, he took the time to autograph his books. Folks who wanted to come by for the autograph party following the presentation at the college put on by the Pikeville Concert Association, he autographed their books. It was a fine show. I had the opportunity to take the WPRG TV5 cameras there. I videotaped that, and when we show the Writers Reading Program back this Sunday at 6 o'clock, then I'm going to put on that program with James Steele. So if it's on Sunday here and you're watching this on WPRG, stay tuned, because we will have the Pikeville Concert Association's presentation of Kentucky Poet Laureate James Steele coming up right after this.
Well, that's good. I'll be sure to try to catch that.
Ernestine, could we possibly talk into maybe reading one more poem out of your book? I mean, this is the book that has been presented along with the checks to the winners here. And Ernestine, you've been on here now several years with the Writers Reading Program on WPRG TV5, and you have this book of poetry, which has been published by Printing by George out of Pikeville, Kentucky. And it's a book of poems written by author Ernestine Mead from Hurricane Creek in Pike County. Ernestine?
This is kind of a funny poem. It's called We See It All. We see it all, don't we? You and I. We see the dung and the blood and the oil and the mud. We see the ketchup and the jam and the nail polish and lipstick. Sometimes we find a love note or a test paper someone tried to hide. We learn a lot that they would not confide. Day in and day out, we make them come clean. My daily companion, my washing machine.
All right, can we have a round of applause for her on that? Okay. As you can tell from the round of applause, we do have a live audience in here. We have the poets who have won first and second place in the Writers Reading Poetry Division, and also some of their parents and some of the neighbors and the folks of Eastern Kentucky who have come in here and joined us today. It's been a wonderful program, Ernestine.
I've enjoyed it too. I really had a good time.
Okay.
I hope everybody else has.
Anything else we need to say? Well, just give the folks a few words and encourage young people out here to continue to write poetry, Ernestine.
Well, always remember, you can win money. That's one thing. But I think the most important thing about writing is what you and Bill Loftus were talking about. I think it's very therapeutic. To get out what's in here and get it out on paper, then you don't have to think about it anymore. You don't have to worry about it anymore. And it's there. You can always go back to it later on and read what you've written, and it helps you. And are you wanting me to go off the air now, Dr. Dunn?
Close it out, whatever. You got to continue that line of thought there. Train of thought. Don't stop there.
Okay. I always encourage the kids in schools when I go around and talk to them that there are two things I always tell them. One is that they are unique. There is nobody, you young people that have been here and you older people too, nobody else in the world is quite like you. And if you don't say what you've got to say, nobody's going to say it. And the second thing is you can do anything, you can be anything that you want to be. So just always remember that. And I think it's important to write because you forget things. Our minds forget a lot of things. And when we write it down, then we can always go back. So just keep on writing, and maybe next year we'll have another contest. I don't know if we're still doing the show, and I don't know what it'll be. Maybe next time we'll do an essay or something. But just keep on writing, and then you'll have something already prepared maybe. And I want to thank, before we go off there, I want to thank everybody who was on the show, all the people who were winners, Reed Volk, Dr. Don, everybody. And I also want to thank those of you who sent in poems that didn't win. We had a really hard time choosing. We had 3 judges, and it was very, very difficult to choose. So I want you to know that all of you wrote good poems, and I appreciate your sending them in. And I guess that's it. Until next time, may God bless you.